Ladies and gentlemen, ever find yourself stuck in a moment, heart racing, fist clenched, mind spiraling because of something someone said or did? Maybe it was a driver cutting you off, a passive aggressive coworker, or that one family member who knows exactly which buttons to push. But what if I told you they don't control your peace? You do. Today, I'll show you how to build an inner calm so no one can shake it. This isn't about being passive. It's about being powerful in how you respond. Let's break this down. You ever notice how the moment something triggers us, our mouth moves faster than our brain? Someone says something off, does something rude, and before we even realize it, we've snapped. Our tone shifts, our body tenses, and now we're in it, emotionally hijacked. But here's the truth. There's a space, a tiny sliver of silence between what happens and how we respond. And in that space is where everything changes. Most people never even realize that space exists. They go from stimulus to response in a heartbeat like it's hardwired, but it's not. That's just a habit, a trained response. And habits can be retrained. Mastering the pause isn't about silencing yourself. It's about choosing your power. You don't have to react just because you're provoked. You don't have to take the emotional bait. That bait is always there. Someone's sarcasm, someone rolling their eyes, someone interrupting you mid-sentence, and you can feel it rise in your chest. That heat, that pressure, that's your cue. That's the moment you pause. Now let's be real. Pausing doesn't always feel good, especially when you feel disrespected. Your ego wants to defend, attack, or shut down. But power doesn't live in those knee-jerk reactions. Power lives in self-control. It lives in the deep breath, in the steady eye contact, in the choice to respond instead of explode. When you pause, you give your nervous system a moment to reset. You're not denying your emotion. You're acknowledging it without handing over the keys. That's emotional maturity. That's strength. Let me give you a real moment. A woman came up to me after an event and said, "I just can't help it. My boss says one thing and I go from calm to furious in seconds. It's like I black out." And I told her, "That's not your boss's power. That's your body reacting before your brain can lead." She didn't need to fix her boss. She needed to build her pause. And it doesn't have to be long. 3 seconds, that's all. 3 seconds to breathe, to blink, to say to yourself, "I don't have to go there." Those 3 seconds build a wall between you and chaos. That pause creates space for wisdom to enter the room. Because if you always respond at the level of your anger, you stay stuck at the level of your anger. You know what happens when you build this muscle over time? People start to lose their grip on you. The ones who used to push your buttons can't find them anymore. The situations that used to rattle you now barely register. That's not coldness. That's freedom. The pause doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you decide how and when to stand up. You're not reactive, you're intentional. And intentional people don't fight every battle. They don't get baited into every argument. They know their peace is too expensive to give away every time someone else is having a bad day. You want to feel less angry, less bothered? Then stop giving away your reaction for free. Make people earn your energy. Make them earn your words. Don't just hand over your power because someone made a comment or gave you a look. Hold your power close, guard it, and I promise you, the more you practice this, the stronger you become. The pause grows, the space widens, and inside that space, you find yourself. You find clarity, you find peace. This is where your real control lives. Not in what others do, but in what you choose to do next. So, pause, then choose power. It's so easy to take things personally. Someone snaps at you in a meeting, and your mind immediately goes, "What did I do wrong?" A friend goes silent and you wonder, did I offend them? That text with no emoji, are they mad at me? We internalize other people's behavior like it's a direct reflection of us, like we somehow caused it. But here's what I need you to understand. Most of the time, it's not about you at all. It's about of them. People are patterns. They bring their habits, their history, their trauma, their fears everywhere they go. If someone is constantly short-tempered, defensive, or dismissive, that's not a verdict on your worth. That's a pattern they've likely repeated with everyone they come in contact with. It just happened to land on you today. The moment you detach from the idea that their behavior is about you, you take back your peace. You stop feeling like you have to fix yourself to fix them. That's a heavy burden to carry, and it's one you don't need to hold. Someone cuts you off in traffic. It's not personal. That's how they drive. A coworker gives you the cold shoulder. It's likely their default mode when they're overwhelmed or insecure. Your partner shuts down during arguments, not because you're not worth talking to, but because they never learned how to communicate through discomfort. That's a pattern. And when you can name it as that, you release yourself from taking it on as your responsibility. Now, I know it still feels personal, especially when it's someone close. But think about this. If someone hands you a box of emotional chaos and you take it, carry it, open it, and start sorting through it, you just made it yours, but it was never yours to begin with. You have the right to set it down. You have the right to say that belongs to you, not me. We're not here to carry everyone's emotional baggage. We're not here to decode every cold glance or snide remark, because 9 times out of 10, that person is reacting from a wound you didn't cause. And sometimes your presence, your peace, even your success, it triggers something in them that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with what they haven't resolved within themselves. Here's where the shift happens. Instead of asking, why are they doing this to me? Start asking, what pattern are they stuck in? That doesn't excuse poor behavior, but explains it. And when you understand it, you stop internalizing it. You gain distance. And distance gives you clarity. I once had someone in my life who would constantly belittle people in conversations, always making subtle jabs, always needing to feel smarter. For years, I took it personally. I'd leave those moments questioning myself, shrinking a little, until I realized this isn't about me. That person needed to feel in control because they felt small. Their pattern wasn't personal. It was protective. Once I saw that, I stopped reacting. I stopped shrinking. And more importantly, I stopped feeling angry. That's what this is really about. Reclaiming your emotional energy. Because when you take everything personally, you live in a constant state of offense. You walk through life with your guard up, your heart tired. But when you detach from the pattern, you can stand in front of someone's storm and stay dry because you know this isn't mine. You deserve to live from a place of confidence, not confusion. And that begins by seeing people for what they're actually showing you. Not a reflection of your worth, but a mirror of their patterns. And once you recognize that, you can decide how close you let them get. Not out of fear, but from wisdom. So the next time someone's behavior makes you want to question your value, take a breath. Ask yourself, is this about me, or is this just their pattern playing out again? That question alone can set you free. You don't have to carry what was never yours. So much of our anger, our frustration, our stress, it doesn't actually come from what happens. It comes from what we tell ourselves about what happens. That inner dialogue, that split-second story we create to make sense of a situation, becomes the lens we see everything through. And the truth is, most of the time, the story isn't even accurate. But our emotions, they still react like it's gospel. Think about it. Someone walks past you without saying hello. Instantly, your mind starts writing, they're ignoring me. I must have upset them. They're being rude on purpose. That story builds tension. That story pulls you into a loop of overthinking. But what if the real story is they didn't even see you, or they were deep in thought, dealing with something heavy? Nothing about. We don't react to reality. We react to the meaning we attach to it. And that's why reframing matters. Not because it excuses bad behavior, but because it puts the power back in your hands. If you can change the story, you can change your emotional experience. You can go from defensive to compassionate, from angry to curious, from hurt to understanding. It's a shift, but it changes everything. Let me give you a moment. I remember having a conversation where someone completely cut me off mid-sentence. My immediate story. They don't respect me. They don't care what I have to say. And I felt it tight in my chest, ready to pull back, ready to shut down. But I paused and I reframed. What if they're just excited? What if they've been waiting all day to share this and couldn't hold it in? That shift changed how I felt. It softened me. It gave me the space to stay present instead of retreating into resentment. Now, this doesn't mean you justify disrespect, but it does mean you give yourself more options. You open up more pathways than just anger. Because when we always assume the worst, we limit our response to the worst. Sometimes the story we tell ourselves isn't even about other people. It's about ease. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. Nobody ever listens to me. Those narratives, most of them planted long ago, get triggered in small moments. And suddenly, we're not just reacting to what's happening. We're reacting to years of hurt, years of beliefs we never questioned. You have the right to question them now. You have the right to ask, is this story helpful? Is it even true? Because if it's not helpful and it's not true, why are you letting it run your mind? This is where emotional strength comes in. Not in pretending things don't bother you, but in choosing how you interpret them. You can say to yourself, maybe they're having a bad day. You can say, maybe that had nothing to do with me. You can say, I don't need to create drama where I can create grace. A reframing isn't lying to yourself. It's giving yourself a more balanced, honest way of looking at what just happened. It's stepping back far enough to see the full picture, not just the part that made you feel small. And when you practice that again and again, something shifts. You become less reactive. You take things less personally. You move through life with more ease because you're not constantly under attack. Not from others and not from your own thoughts. It's okay to feel what you feel. That's human. But your feelings are shaped by your thought, and your thoughts are shaped by the story you tell. So if you want to feel differently, start by telling a better story. One that gives you peace instead of pain. One that invites understanding instead of offense. You are the narrator of your life. No one else gets to write the meaning, but you. Choose the story that sets you free. There's a difference between being strong and being hardened. A lot of people confuse the two. They think strength is about shutting people out, snapping back, staying guarded, staying sharp, but that's not strength. That's a reaction show. It looks tough on the outside, but it's built from pain. And when you're living in that shell, all it takes is one comment, one look, one mistake, and you crack. Real strength doesn't live on the outside. It lives deep in your center. That emotional core, that's what steadies you. That's what allows you to face tension, disrespect, conflict without folding or flaring. It's not that you don't feel the emotion. You do. You just don't let it run the show. Building that emotional core isn't flashy. It's quiet. It's personal. And it's daily. It's choosing to reflect before you react. It's choosing to breathe before you break. It's choosing not to match someone else's chaos with your own. That doesn't mean you're weak. That means you're wise. You're grounded. Now, let's be honest. Life will test you. People will test you. You'll encounter disrespect, betrayal, misunderstanding. And if your only defense is snapping back or shutting down, you'll keep cycling through the same kind of pain, just with different faces. But when you've done the inner work, you're not moved by every storm. You can feel the pressure, hear the noise, and still move with clarity. This kind of strength starts with knowing yourself. What triggers you, what wounds you carry, where your insecurities lie. Because if you don't know those things, they'll get pushed and you'll react without realizing why. But when you do know, you can pause, you can name it, you can decide, I'm not going to let this moment define me. I'm going to respond from my values, not my wounds. Your emotional core gets built through little practices. Getting still in the morning before the noise of the world begins, journaling instead of venting, taking a walk instead of firing off that angry text, saying, let me think about that, instead of giving an answer you'll regret. These aren't signs of weakness. These are signs of discipline, and discipline is power. People who are constantly reacting, they're tired because they're living on edge, waiting for the next person to offend them, living in defense mode. But people who've built emotional depth, they walk differently, they listen more than they speak, they choose peace over proving a point. Not because they're trying to avoid conflict, but because they know what's worth their energy and what isn't. Let's be clear, this doesn't mean you don't hold boundaries. It doesn't mean you tolerate mistreatment. It means you don't let mistreatment take over your whole day, your whole spirit. You learn how to speak up with calm, how to walk away with grace, how to stand firm without turning cold. It's not about building walls. It's about building roots. And those roots, they hold you steady when things get messy. Because no matter how evolved we think we are, life will still throw things at us. Someone will say something they shouldn't. A situation will blindside you. That's just part of being human. But when you have that core in place, you can feel the emotion without becoming it. You don't have to match anyone's low energy. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't have to win every argument. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay centered, stay soft, and stay clear. Reaction is easy, strength is earned, and the more you invest in your emotional core, the more unshakable you become. Not hard, not bitter, but strong in a way that nothing and no one can take away from you. Let your peace be your power. What I want you to leave with today is this. You don't need to control other people to protect your peace. You don't need to avoid conflict or become numb or shut down your emotions. You just need to build the tools that keep you centered. No matter what's happening around you, pause before you react. Give yourself that space to choose power over impulse. Detach from the idea that every behavior around you is about you. It's not. Shift the story you tell yourself from one of threat to one of understanding. And build your emotional core so deeply that no comment, no glare, no energy can shake what's steady inside you. This isn't about pretending things don't bother you. It's about choosing not to carry what isn't yours. It's about becoming so anchored in who you are that you can move through this world with grace, no matter who tries to pull you off course, because your peace is your responsibility and your power lives in how you protect it. So when the moment comes, and it always does, you don't need to fight. You don't need to flee. You just need to breathe and choose.